the fact that the Liberals are standing up, flat out lying their collective asses off to Canadians and saying, oh, where's my pearls? There is no ban. We're standing up for auto workers. There's no ban. What the heck do you call that on your website? Yesterday, we dropped a video of the debate on the Conservative motion to cancel the ban on new gas-powered vehicles as of 2035. However, as expected, the Bloc voted with the Liberals and defeated the motion. Today, in question period, the Conservatives challenged the government repeatedly on the ban, only for the Liberals to stand up and commit their most ridiculous gaslighting claim yet. They say that the ban on gas cars doesn't even exist. Let's take a look.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
This Liberal government is doubling down on its insane ban on gas-powered vehicles. The latest Liberal overreach kicks in next year, and soon your favorite car, truck, and van will be illegal. But this mandate is already driving up prices. The average price of a new car is $67,000. Used cars are approaching $40,000, and this Liberal mandate will add an additional $20,000 per vehicle. They've already priced working Canadians out of the housing market. Why are they pricing working Canadians out of the ability to buy a vehicle as well?
The Honourable Minister of the Environment and Climate Change.
Mr. Speaker, first let's start with the facts, which is there is no ban on gas-powered vehicles. But more to the point, let's also say, once again, we're seeing the Conservatives talking down one of our most important industries, employing hard-working auto workers in our country at the very moment that we're facing tariff threats from the United States. I find it rich that they are choosing to take this position instead of talking up a growing and important industry. We stand with our auto workers.
Leader of the Opposition.
There absolutely is a ban. It starts to come into effect next year, and it will absolutely devastate the auto sector here in Canada. The auto sector is already under fire from unjustified U.S. tariffs and the PM's inability to get a deal, but GM, Ford are all saying that this ban will kill jobs. In fact, a new report says that this ban on gas-powered vehicles will kill 90,000 auto jobs. Wow. Instead of sending even more jobs to the U.S., why not end the ban on gas-powered vehicles and let Canadians decide what kind of vehicle they want to buy?
The Honourable Minister of the Environment and Climate Change.
Mr. Speaker, it's nice to hear that they're finally recognizing that we're talking about an industry that's facing unjustified tariffs from the United States. Right. But let's also talk about how our auto sector is important. We need to support it in this moment. It's creating good-paying union jobs in our country. An EV standard actually makes sure that new electric vehicles are available to Canadians. They're cheaper to operate, they're cheaper on upkeep, and Canadians want to be able to have access.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
You don't have to allow Canadians to buy one type of vehicle by banning their ability to buy the ones that they actually want. But, you know, this is raising a lot of questions. Canadians, auto workers, Ford, GM, they all don't want the EV mandate, but the Prime Minister is intent on pushing it through. Why? Well, right before becoming Prime Minister, he was chair of Brookfield, and he advocated for a ban on gas-powered cars. Brookfield is heavily invested in the EV supply chain, yet this Prime Minister refuses to reveal his financial interests or self-admitted conflicts. Isn't it true that this isn't about the environment, this is about the bottom line for Brookfield?
The Honourable Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, this line of questioning is somewhat absurd. Whether you want to get on a skidoo, whether you want to get on an all-terrain vehicle, whether you want to gas up your F-150, whether the plumber wants to take the truck to work, that is that person's choice in this country. There is no ban on gas-powered vehicles. This is completely conjured up fake showmanship from the Conservatives. Unbelievable. There is an auto sector sector in Canada. We're going to stand up for the people in it. We're going to protect it, and we're going to give consumers choice. Mr. Speaker, I know that member of Parliament. He knows there's no ban on gas-powered vehicles. He knows. Look, I'll invite him to the riding. We'll go out on a skidoo ride when the winter comes. The fact is that Canadians have choice. We'll continue to have choice. In the meantime, we're going to power a new industry, putting Canadian auto workers, unifor workers, unionized men and women to work building all kinds of vehicles.
Okay, I wanted to let that run for a bit. And although Steve McKinnon didn't respond directly to Andrew Scheer's question, that's full disclosure, I wanted to skip ahead a bit and kind of tie that together. So first you have Minister of Environment stand up and say,
there is no ban on gas-powered vehicles.
Then you have Steve McKinnon standing up and saying,
there is no ban on gas-powered vehicles.
This is fake news. You know, I don't know where this line of questioning is coming from. We're giving Canadians choice. We're standing up to for the auto sector. Okay. So I don't know if Steve McKinnon is so unpopular with the Liberal caucus that he's just not invited to staff meetings anymore. I don't know if he's just not invited to cabinet meetings anymore. I don't know if he doesn't bother to check his own government website. But there is absolutely a 100% ban on gas-powered vehicles. If you don't believe me, let's check the government website, canada.ca. Ladies and gentlemen, Government of Canada, you can see that at the top left here, okay? So, what is this about? Well, this is Canada's Electric Vehicle Availability Standard, regulated targets for zero-emission vehicles. Okay, well, what does that mean? Well, if we skip down to the next section there, the Electric Vehicle Availability Standard, it says, announced in draft form on December 31st, 2022, this is a Justin Trudeau policy, the standard applies to light-duty vehicles, which means passenger cars, SUVs, and light trucks. These vehicles account for about half of Canada's greenhouse gas emissions from the transportation sector, while the transportation sector accounts for overall about 25% of Canada's overall greenhouse gas emissions. Under the new Electric Vehicle Availability Standard, auto manufacturers and importers must meet annual zero-emission vehicle regulated sales targets. The targets begin for the 2026 model year. That's what Andrew Scheer was referring to, with a requirement that at least 20% of new light-duty vehicles offered for sale in that year be zero-emission vehicles. The requirements increase annually to 60% by 2030 and 100% by 2035. And they've even added a handy graph underneath. So you can see in 2026, all auto manufacturers in Canada must sell 20% of their new vehicles as electric vehicles. That goes up to 23% in 2027, 34 in 2028, and it escalates and it escalates and it escalates to 100%. What does 100% mean to you? Well, 100% to me means this. If you are requiring auto manufacturers to sell 100%, and I repeat, 100%, let me put that in another term, all of their vehicles in Canada as zero-emission vehicles, that means in 2035, every single new vehicle sold in Canada by an automaker must be zero-emission, aka electric, aka you are banning auto manufacturers from selling gas-powered vehicles in 2035. That's what that means. This isn't just see if you can hit it. It's a requirement. It is a 100% requirement. So for them to stand up and say there is no ban, and you know what? Let's go even further. Let's go even further. So, all right. So maybe Steve McKinnon doesn't get invited to his club meetings anymore. Maybe he doesn't check the government website. Maybe he doesn't get invited to cabinet anymore. But you would think that he would look at his own party website, wouldn't you? Because, ladies and gentlemen, this is on liberal.ca. This is the Federal Liberal Party of Canada. This is their website. And you see Mark Carney's name at the top left there, and it says 100% zero emission car sales by 2035. When you scroll down, you see this paragraph. Almost a quarter of our emissions come from the transportation sector, and half of these emissions come from the cars and trucks that get Canadians around every day. We know action is needed to reduce pollution from transportation. That's why we launched the IZEV program in 2019 to provide purchase rebates of up to $5,000 to Canadians who want to get behind the wheel of an electric vehicle and help build enough charging stations that you can drive from St. John's to Victoria in an electric vehicle. They're trying to say that we have enough already. And this June, we set a, let me just put this in quotes, quote, and this June, we set a mandatory target that all new light-duty cars and passenger trucks must be zero emissions by 2035, accelerating Canada's target by 5 years. You can't demonstrate this any more clearly in this video. The fact that the Liberals are standing up, flat out lying their collective asses off to Canadians and saying, oh, where's my pearls? There is no ban. We're standing up for auto workers. There's no ban. What the heck do you call that on your website? I'm sorry I'm getting kind of riled up here, but how can you even defend that, McKinnon? This is absurd. What's absurd is you're trying to say what's posted on your website, both on the liberal.ca website and the government website, isn't true. So what are you doing? And you even had people like Mark Gerritsen standing up defending it yesterday, and you're saying this isn't true? What is going on?
Mr. Speaker, I know that member of Parliament. He knows there's no ban on gas-powered vehicles. He knows. Look, I'll invite him to the riding. We'll go out on a skidoo ride when the winter comes. The fact is that Canadians have choice. We'll continue to have choice. In the meantime, we're going to power a new industry, putting Canadian auto workers, unifor workers, unionized men and women to work building all kinds of vehicles. They have this thing called a pump. The pump offers various choices of grades of gasoline, and for the honourable member's benefit, there's a yellow one that says diesel. So if you happen to have a diesel engine, you stick the pump into that one, into your vehicle, and you know what? You have a choice. You run your diesel truck or you run your diesel car. That's all good, Mr. Speaker. Canadians have the choice. Let's drive on.
What is going on?